Master, who burns in there? Dante Alighieri descends circle by circle, cataloging the damned, and the deeper he goes, the worse the crime. Down into the 8th circle, deeper than murder, where hell keeps a special punishment for a special sin. The misuse of a brilliant mind. Inside that flame comes the answer: burns Ulysses, the man the Greeks called Odysseus, the greatest hero of antiquity, the cleverest human being who ever lived. Damned below murderers. The charge was a mind turned into a weapon. The Trojan horse, a war won with a lie instead of a blade, a lifetime of schemes, thefts, disguises. In Dante's Inferno, deceit outranks violence, because a beast can only be violent, betrayal takes intelligence, and the more brilliant the mind, the greater the crime when it's turned against the people who trusted it. Homer's Odysseus was the man who refused eternity. Offered immortality in paradise, he chose home, age, and death. And the Middle Ages' greatest poet read that man and sentenced him to an eternal flame anyway. To judge whether Dante got him right, we need the whole case file. And the case begins, like all Greek trouble, with a party. The gods are celebrating a wedding, and one goddess wasn't invited. Eris, discord. So she does what discord does. She throws a golden apple into the room, inscribed with 3 words, "For the fairest." 3 goddesses claim it. A Trojan prince named Paris is forced to judge, and Aphrodite buys his verdict with a bribe. The most beautiful woman in the world, who happens to be married to a Greek king. 10 years of war follow. A civilization burns. The French philosopher Luc Ferry points out something easy to miss in this famous story. It is a picture of how every human life begins. None of us chooses the world we are thrown into. We arrive in the middle of other people's conflicts, inheriting wars we did not start, born, all of us, into chaos. And the deepest human task, the Greeks believed, is the journey out of it. From chaos toward order, from violence toward peace, from exile toward home. That journey has a name in Greek. Nostos, homecoming. It is where we get the word nostalgia, which literally means the pain of the return. And to understand why this homecoming became the foundational story of Western literature, we have to understand who was telling it and when. The poem describes the Bronze Age, a world of palaces and heroes, but it was composed centuries after that world had already collapsed. Around 1200 BC, the great Mediterranean civilizations fell, almost simultaneously, into a dark age so complete that even writing was forgotten. The Greeks who first heard the Odyssey lived among the ruins of a greater past, and they were just beginning to sail out again, planting colonies from Sicily to the Black Sea, pushing into waters no map described. Which means the Odyssey is not really a poem about the Bronze Age at all. It is a poem about them, a society of sailors and settlers, asking the questions every expanding people asks. What is out there? Who lives there? Are they like us? And what does the sea want from us? But before the myth, there was the money, and to see it, ignore the poetry for one moment and look at the map. Troy sat above the Hellespont. The narrow water every trading ship had to pass between the Aegean and the Black Sea. Grain, gold, horses, amber, the wealth of 2 worlds funneled beneath Troy's walls, and Troy taxed the funnel. Archaeology has found the city destroyed and rebuilt layer upon layer across centuries. Men were killing each other over that hill long before anyone spoke the name Helen. Whoever held Troy held the toll gate of the ancient world. And the man who assembled 100 jealous Greek kings into one armada. Agamemnon of Mycenae, the abandoned husband's brother, was the closest thing Bronze Age Greece had to an emperor. For him, a stolen queen was not a wound. She was an opportunity. The one cause sacred enough to place every rival king's army under his command, and point it at the richest city in the known world. 10 years later, the ships that sailed home rode low in the water, not with rescued honor, but with plunder, and with enslaved Trojan women divided among the victors like cattle. Helen was not the reason. Helen was the permission slip. And here is what makes Homer's theology so unsettling. Heaven runs on exactly the same economy. 10 years after that richest city was destroyed, this is where the Odyssey actually begins. Not on a battlefield, in a meeting. The gods are in council on Olympos, and the first voice we hear in the entire poem is Zeus complaining about us. Mortals blame the gods for their suffering, he says, when they bring it on themselves by their own recklessness. Then Athena speaks, and the agenda narrows to a single human being. Odysseus, the architect of the horse, never made it home. He is trapped on a goddess's island at the edge of the world, 7 years a prisoner of paradise, weeping for a rocky little kingdom called Ithaca. His patron goddess wants him released. And notice how she operates. She has waited for a day when Poseidon is away from the table, because he hates Odysseus for reasons we haven't gotten to yet. Look at this scene coldly. The management of the universe, gathered in eternity and business, is conducted by grievance, favoritism, and catching your rival away from the room. Heaven, in Homer, has politics. The gods of this poem are not moral guardians. They are patrons, great houses backing mortal clients, holding grudges, calling in debts. Athena protects Odysseus not because he is good, but because he is the mortal most like her. The best schemer among men, sponsored by the cleverest schemer among gods. Heaven's wisdom loves what resembles itself. Kings below, gods above, 2 aristocracies, 1 operating system. Interest, honor, vengeance, patronage. The Greeks did not invent gods to explain why the universe is fair. They invented gods to describe, with terrifying honesty, why it is not. That is the world this story sails through. Now meet the sea it sails on. Because the sea, in this poem, is not scenery. It is a character, arguably the villain. For the Greeks, the sea was what deep space is to us, a void where the rules of the human world stop working. On land, you could be buried, mourned, remembered. Drown at sea, and you simply vanish. No grave, no rights, no name. The sea was where identity itself dissolved. And the sea has a god, Poseidon. When Odysseus blinds the sea god's son, we'll come to that. Poseidon does not kill him. That's the strange part. He could sink him in an afternoon. Instead, he does something crueler. He makes the journey home take 10 years. Here is where Luke Ferry noticed something that changes how you see the entire poem. Look at what actually threatens Odysseus, obstacle by obstacle. The Lotus Eaters don't attack his men, they feed them a flower that makes them forget their homeland. The sirens don't drag sailors into the sea, they sing a song men choose to die for. Circe doesn't imprison him, she makes life so comfortable that a year passes before he notices. Sleep overtakes him at the exact moment Ithaca's shoreline comes into view. And Calypso. Calypso offers him a paradise designed to make him abandon the journey altogether. Even her name comes from the Greek Calypto. I conceal. Not one of these dangers is trying to kill him. Every single one is trying to make him forget. Forget where he is going. Forget who is waiting. Forget who he is. Poseidon is not the god of storms in this story. He is the god of forgetting, and the epic's real thesis is hiding in plain sight. The greatest enemy of a human life is not death. It is losing the thread of your own purpose, one pleasant distraction at a time. Notice what kind of enemy that is. You cannot fight it with a sword. And that is why the gods matter here in a way modern audiences misread. We assume divine intervention makes Odysseus a puppet. Athena rescues him, so where's the free will? But the Greeks saw it differently. Fate, in Homer, sets the destination. It is decreed that Odysseus will return. What is not decreed is who he will be when he arrives or what it will cost. Athena, goddess of wisdom, helps him precisely because he is the kind of man wisdom can help. The gods in the Odyssey are less like puppet masters and more like weather. They create the conditions, the choices, and the character revealed by the choices. Which raises the question the whole ancient world argued about. What kind of man was he? The Iliad, Homer's other epic, worships one kind of excellence. Force. Its hero is Achilles, the greatest warrior alive, beautiful, furious, unstoppable, and doomed. Achilles was offered a choice by fate, a long, quiet, forgotten life, or a short life, and eternal glory. He chose glory. That is the heroic code in its purest form. Better to burn than to be forgotten. The Odyssey is built around the opposite virtue, metis, cunning. And the poem stages a demonstration of which one actually keeps you alive. Odysseus and 12 men are trapped in a cave by Polyphemus the Cyclops, a one-eyed giant who eats 2 of them raw and calls it hospitality. Now, Achilles in this cave attacks, and Achilles in this cave dies, because even if he kills the giant, the door is a boulder that only the giant can move. Strength cannot solve this room. Watch what intelligence does instead. Odysseus gets the monster drunk. He tells him his name is Odysseus, which means nobody. He blinds the Cyclops with a sharpened stake, but deliberately does not kill him. He needs him alive to open the door. And when Polyphemus screams for help, the other giants shout back, "Who is attacking you?" And the Cyclops can only answer, "Nobody. Nobody is killing me." They laugh. They leave. The Greeks escape strapped to the bellies of sheep. It is the founding myth of a civilization deciding that brains beat brawn, and the ancestor of every heist film, every trickster, every underdog who wins with a plan. But the poem is more honest than the legend, because as they sail away safe, invisible, nobody, Odysseus cannot bear it. He turns and shouts his real name across the water. If anyone asks who blinded you, tell them it was Odysseus of Ithaca. A triumph no one knows about is, to a Homeric hero, no triumph at all. Glory Kleos, the song of your name outliving your body, was the only immortality Greeks believed in. And that shout is the most expensive sentence in literature. Now, Polyphemus has a name to give his father, Poseidon. The 10-year curse begins here, purchased in full by ego. The cleverest man alive, undone by the need to be known. 28 centuries later, we have built a global economy on that exact weakness. Before we leave this cave, look at it once more through modern eyes. The poem is a catalog of encounters with the other, and it sorts every people Odysseus meets on a scale from civilized to savage, using very specific criteria. Do they farm? Do they have laws and assemblies? And above all, do they honor Xenia, the sacred code of hospitality? The Cyclopes plant nothing, hold no councils, and eat their guests, maximum savage. The Phaeacians, with their perfect harbors and dances, maximum civilized. It is one of history's first ethnographies written entirely from the deck of the arriving ship. Scholars call this the colonial reading of the Odyssey, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every colonial empire since has used a version of that checklist to decide who counted as fully human. The Odyssey didn't just describe encounters with the other, it wrote the template. Then the poem goes somewhere no story had gone before. Odysseus needs a prophecy only a dead man can give. So he sails to the edge of the world, digs a trench, and pours in sacrificial blood. And the dead come thousands of them because only the taste of blood lets them speak again. This is the first great descent into the underworld in Western literature. The ancestor of Dante, of Orpheus, of every seance and every ghost story. But Odysseus doesn't find monsters down there. He finds something more dangerous. Information. His mother is among the dead. He didn't know. She died of grief, waiting for him. 3 times he tries to embrace her. 3 times his arms close on empty air. Whatever else the journey costs him, this is the bill that can never be paid. The years are not refundable, and the people who wait do not wait forever. The prophet Tiresias gives him his future, including a detail almost every adaptation cuts, and we will come back to it, because it changes the meaning of the entire poem. But the underworld saves its real message for last. Odysseus meets Achilles, the man who chose a short life and eternal glory, the hero who's bargained to find heroism itself, and Odysseus congratulates him. Even here, you rule among the dead. Achilles' answer detonates the entire value system the Iliad was built on. He would rather be a living farmhand, breaking his back for a man who owns nothing on earth, than sit on a throne over every soul who has ever died. The man who traded his life for glory, telling the man still alive, "I chose wrong. The song is not worth the sunlight." Remember that sentence. It is the seed of everything that happens on Calypso's beach. While Odysseus is crossing the world, the poem keeps cutting back to a second battlefield, a house. Ithaca believes its king is dead, and under Greek custom, that makes his wife Penelope the most valuable prize in the kingdom. Whoever marries her gets the throne. 108 suitors have moved into her home. They eat her herds, drink her cellars, and wait for her to choose. She cannot refuse forever. She has no army. Her son Telemachus is a boy raised in the shadow of a father he has never met, too young to expel them. Every conventional form of power is closed to her. So she fights with what she has. Penelope announces she will choose a husband as soon as she finishes weaving a burial shroud for her father-in-law. By day, she weaves before witnesses. By night, in secret, she unravels every thread. For 3 years, the shroud never grows, the choice never comes, and 108 men are held at bay by a piece of cloth. It is exactly her husband's weapon, the trap built from the enemy's own assumptions, and Homer says it plainly. No Greek woman ever matched her mind. The Greeks named intelligence Metis and made it a goddess. Athena, who guides this whole story, is her daughter. The poem's supreme power isn't the thunderbolt. It's cunning, and in the Odyssey, cunning is a family trait shared by husband, wife, and goddess alike. Look at the poem's women as a group, and something remarkable appears. Circe turns men into pigs, then becomes Odysseus's wisest advisor the moment he stands up to her. Calypso, holding him prisoner for 7 years, delivers antiquity's first recorded protest against a double standard. Gods take mortal lovers freely. Goddesses who do the same get punished for it. Athena runs the entire board from above. Penelope matches the cleverest man alive move for move, from a room with a loom. Written in a world where women held almost no formal power, the Odyssey quietly insists they held every other kind. And Penelope gets the last trick of the whole epic. When a beggar arrives claiming to be her husband, 20 years older, scarred, unrecognizable, she doesn't fall into his arms. She tests him. Casually, she orders a servant to move their marriage bed out of the bedroom. The stranger explodes. Impossible, he built that bed himself, carved it from a living olive tree, still rooted in the earth. It cannot be moved without destroying it. Only 2 living people know that. She wasn't just waiting for her husband, she was verifying him. 20 years of suitors, imposters, and false news had taught her the poem's deepest lesson from the other side. Identity must be proven. In a marriage of tricksters, even the reunion is a test, and the bed is the answer. A secret rooted in the ground, the one thing in this story of endless motion that cannot be moved. Odysseus does not return as a king. He returns disguised as a beggar, homeless at his own hearth, testing everyone, watching who kicks the man who cannot repay kindness. The Greeks believed any stranger at your door might be a god in disguise. The suitors fail that test nightly. Then comes the contest. None of them can even string the king's great bow. The beggar can. The doors are locked. And Odysseus, with his son beside him, kills all 108. The poem calls it justice, and the case is real. They violated Xenia, the guest code that held the Greek world together. They plotted to murder his son. They besieged his wife. Zeus himself endorses the verdict. Is this justice, or is it revenge wearing justice's clothes? Here is the poem's answer, and it is quietly stunning. Afterward, the families of the dead suitors take up arms. Ithaca stands on the edge of civil war. The cycle of vengeance about to consume the man who just closed his own. It takes a goddess, Athena, literally descending to command peace, to stop it. Homer knew what his own climax meant. Human vengeance never ends by itself. Someone always owes the next debt. The bloodbath doesn't resolve the story. Grace does. Imposed from above, because we cannot supply it ourselves. 28 centuries later, we still can't. Go back to the very first thing Zeus said. Mortals bring their own suffering on themselves through their own recklessness, then blame the gods for it. Hold that up against what just happened in this hall. Zeus was right about the suitors. Nobody forced them to occupy another man's house for 3 years, but his complaint leaves something out. The families now marching on Odysseus's gate didn't choose their grief recklessly. They inherited it, the same way every mortal in this poem inherits a war, a curse, or a debt they never personally ran up. Some suffering really is self-inflicted, exactly as Zeus said in the first scene. The rest of it just gets passed down to whoever's standing closest. There is an island at the edge of the world where nothing ever goes wrong. Gardens that grow 4 kinds of fruit untended. Springs running in every direction. A place so beautiful, Homer says, that even a god who came there would stop and stare. On this island lives a goddess, immortal, radiant, in love, and she has offered the man on her beach everything a human being has ever wanted. Eternal youth, endless pleasure, and the one thing every empire, every religion, every billionaire has chased since. He will never die. All he has to do is stay. And every single day, for 7 years, this man walks down to the shore and weeps. Now you know everything Odysseus knows as he sits on that beach. He knows what the dead told him, that the greatest hero who ever traded life for glory regrets it from the throne of the underworld. He knows his mother died of waiting. He knows exactly what is being offered. Calypso is real. The paradise is real. The immortality is real. This is no trick. And he refuses. He chooses a mortal woman over a goddess and says so to Calypso's face, with the tact of a man who knows he's declining a miracle. You are more beautiful, she cannot compare. And I want to go home. He chooses an aging wife, a rocky island, a body that will fail, and a death that is now guaranteed. Luke Ferry argues this refusal is the birth of philosophy itself. The first time a human being stands before eternity and says, that is not what a life is for, because everything on Calypso's island is perfect and nothing there is his. Immortal, anonymous, purposeless. He would live forever as nobody. He has already been nobody once. It nearly destroyed him. A successful mortal life, the poem concludes, is worth more than a failed immortal one. Not a longer life, a meaningful one bounded, chosen, rooted like an olive tree bed. This is why every threat in the poem was a forgetting machine, and why the journey's destination was never really a place. Ithaca is not coordinates on a map. Ithaca is the life that is actually yours, and every lotus flower, every siren song, every comfortable island is the same question in different costume. Will you remember what matters, or will you stay? Which is worth sitting with, here, now, because our civilization has built Calypso's island at scale. The feed that never ends. The comfort that asks nothing. The Silicon Valley projects literally chasing what Odysseus turned down. The abolition of death. We are the first society rich enough to make forgetting a lifestyle. The oldest poem in the West already measured that bargain and told us what the cleverest man alive decided it was worth. Every age has retold this story in its own image. Dante damned Odysseus as a fraud, and now you can judge his verdict for yourself. He read the weaponized mind and missed the man who chose mortality. Tennyson crowned him the patron saint of explorers. Joyce made him an ordinary man crossing Dublin in a day. Margaret Atwood gave the verdict to the hanged servant girls. Madeline Miller gave it to Circe. And this summer, on the largest screens ever built, a new generation will meet him again. Because every era gets the Odysseus it needs, and what a culture sees in him is a confession of what it values. But Homer left one last detail, buried in Tiresias's prophecy, the one the adaptations cut. The journey is not over. After the reunion, after the peace, Odysseus must leave again. Walk inland with an oar on his shoulder, farther and farther from the coast, until he meets people who have never seen the sea, until someone mistakes the oar for a farmer's tool. There, planted in the earth. Only then, in old age, far from salt water, will death come for him, gently, the prophet says. Strange. It is almost Dante's ending, inverted. Dante sent him back to sea, chasing the horizon, and drowned him for it. Homer sends him inland, away from the sea forever, to plant the oar and rest. One poet punished the restlessness, the other perhaps was curing it. The man in the horse, the man on the beach, the beggar at his own door, the greatest homecoming story ever told ends with a departure. Ithaca was never the end of the journey. Ithaca was never the reward. It is the reason, the fixed point that organizes a life, the purpose that makes the storms mean something. Not a place you reach, a direction you keep. You do not return to Ithaca. You carry it,